und damit auch Hallo auf YouTube und herzlich willkommen zu meiner ersten Reaction im diesjährigen Summer Game Fest 2025. Wir sind hier, in einer Minute geht's los, die Accessibility Summer Showcase. Die erste Showcase im Summer Game Fest. Am Mittwoch war die State of Play, aber die ist indirekt auch im Summer Game Fest. Aber Summer Game Fest startet heute um 23 Uhr. Also eigentlich ist das auch eher indirekt, aber es ist die erste Showcase hier beim Summer Game Fest und ich habe extra so ein bisschen einen Screen hier gebastelt, wie ihr seht, ne? In meinen Möglichkeiten, sag ich mal. In meinen Möglichkeiten und da, ne, ich muss immer Spielverkehr denken. Hier sieht man's. Accessibility Summer Showcase startet jetzt. Ich streame übrigens, auch leider nur der einzige Tag, den ich streame, hier Freitag, Samstag, Sonntag streame ich nicht. Habe ich als im Stream schon geklärt. Ja. Was gibt's zu sagen? Es ist heute einiges am Programm, obwohl eigentlich Samstag der Tag ist, wo es so viele Showcases gibt. Aber heute trotzdem Accessibility. Dann später schaue ich die State of Play, die habe ich am Mittwoch nämlich nicht geschaut. Um 23 Uhr die Opening Night und im Anschluss Day of the Devs, die Volver Digital Direct und dann noch die I.O. Interactive Showcase. Also wir haben heute wirklich bis in die Nacht rein Showcases ab 23 Uhr. Dazwischen, also nach dieser Showcase, wie gesagt, im Stream schaue ich die State of Play und dann werde ich noch ein bisschen was zocken, glaube ich. Aber alles mit der Ruhe, obwohl ich gerade ein bisschen, das Adrenalin kickt schon mal. Ich freue mich richtig. Ich hoffe, es klappt alles, ne? Das ist ja immer so ein Ding. Ich habe letztes Jahr ja schon so ein bisschen testweise gestreamt, habe ich zwar auf YouTube gestreamt. Ja, YouTube-Stream ist im Gegensatz zu Twitch-Stream richtig scheiße. Trotzdem bin ich ein bisschen nervös, dass da alles funktioniert und so. So, jetzt geht's los. Los geht's. Untertitel lasse ich mal an, oder? Ich weiß nicht. Ich mach mal hier so. Aber geh mal auf automatisch. So. Wie gesagt, erwartet nichts Krasses. Oder habt ihr wahrscheinlich auch nicht wegen diesem Screen jetzt hier, meine ich. Das ist jetzt nicht so was wie bei Gronk. Komplett krass überall. Ich muss es auch manuell noch ändern, das mit dem Jetzt und Später. Da habe ich keine Hotkeys oder so. So, es geht los! Oh, ist das laut. Accessibility Summer Showcase 2025. Da sind wir. Ja, schön. Ja, sehr schön. Many Cat Studios.
Hello everyone, I'm Laura Kate Dale, better known online as Laura K. Buzz, and I'm here to welcome you to the Accessibility Summer Showcase 2025.
Nice, Alter, los geht's.
I'm a white woman with bright blue hair, shaved short on one side. I'm wearing glasses and a Pac-Man t-shirt.
Ah, geil.
I know you're here for the video game trailers, so I'll try to keep my introduction brief. Over the next 45 minutes or so, you're going to see a bunch of trailers for upcoming video games. Some of them are being made by disabled game developers,
genau, darum geht's.
and all
Sehr
of them
schön
are being
auch,
designed to be accessible to as wide a range of disabled players as possible. We can't promise that every video game in the showcase will be playable by every person tuning in, but our aim is to make sure that if a game seems exciting, you know upfront whether or not you're going to be able to play it. Our hope is that for most of you tuning in, there will be at least a handful of games shown in the showcase that will have the correct mix of accessibility settings and features that you need to be able to play the game upon release. If you want to see most of today's games in one place, organised by accessibility support type, you can check out our Steam event page by going to bit.ly/Summer Showcase 2025 There you'll find demos for each game,
ja,
as well as
ich weiß jetzt schon, meine
eye.
Wishlist wird noch weiter explodieren nach diesen 3 Tagen. Oh Gott, das wird
innovative game development studio
interessant.
Creating new solutions to barriers in gaming through recruitment or engaging with video games. The Accessibility Summer Showcase is available with American Sign Language, British Sign Language, and audio-described versions every year.
Auch
and
sehr,
many
sehr cool.
Cat Studios' support this summer was vital in helping us to produce these additional versions of the event. Well, that's enough from me. Let's jump into the game trailers.
Geil, los geht's, Alter. Bin gespannt.
Welcome to Chromagun 2, a first-person puzzle shooter where color is the key to solving intricate challenges. Like Portal 2, but instead of portals you control droids.
Demo schon available.
Mechanical
Ich glaube, das habe ich schon mal gesehen.
are drawn to walls of the same color.
Chromagun 2.
Need to guide a droid? Just paint the walls. Mix colors to open new paths,
Ersten Teil habe ich nicht
puzzles,
gespielt.
and outsmart the game's many clear obstacles. But that's just the beginning. Because Chromagun 2 is all about color, we knew some players might face difficulties. Those with color blindness or vision impairments could struggle to differentiate between key elements of the game. That's why we created the colorblind mode, a revolutionary accessibility feature designed to make Chromagun 2 playable for as many players as possible.
Sehr, sehr nice.
In colorblind mode, colors are represented by unique symbols. Blue is marked with a circle, red a vertical line, yellow a triangle. Every color-coded object in the game is assigned a clear, intuitive symbol. And with symbol tracking, players can easily follow color interactions in real time,
Voll geil.
making
Boah, ich
puzzles
find
more
das so nice,
accessible
ne?
than ever before.
Muss ich sagen, finde ich so nice.
And what about mixed colors? We've got that covered. Just like in traditional color theory, combining blue and red creates purple. In colorblind mode, this means the blue circle and red line merge into a new recognizable symbol, a circle with a stripe. This system ensures that colorblind players can experience every puzzle, every challenge, and every moment of Chromagun 2 without compromise.
Ich hab ja gar keine Liste irgendwie nebenbei. Ich sollte mal eine Liste irgendwie aufmachen oder so.
Chromagun 2, a first-person puzzler with colors, also accessible for people with color blindness.
So, ich mach mal hier mal eine Liste, ne? Chromagun 2.
Is a relaxing and satisfying game that allows you to express your creativity as you take items from drab to fab. You'll start your own spray painting business, meet with some of Spatterville's most eccentric clients, and fulfill their requests. You'll manage your equipment and supplies, start each task by prepping your space, and then paint to perfection. After completing jobs, you can unlock free spray mode, allowing you to paint everything you can reach to your heart's content, alone or with a friend. The team at North Star Video Games, in collaboration with Whitethorn Games, has worked hard to make sure that their game can be played by as many people as possible, and has implemented a number of features to increase accessibility. In Spray Paint Simulator, complete jobs at your own pace. There are no time penalties, and you can leave a job at any point and pick up right where you left off the next time you play.
Könnte auch zu
You also
Wholesome
have the
Direct
option
passen,
of
ne, dieses
skipping the
Spiel.
preparation phase so you can jump right into painting. Use the task highlight feature to show areas you need to mask or paint. You can edit the duration of the highlight so it stays visible longer, and you can change the highlight color so it will stand out no matter what color you're painting with. There are a variety of options to fine-tune how you play, making sure that your spray tool is perfectly suited to your preferences. Toggle between tap and hold inputs, adjust the size of controller dead zones, and separately adjust the sensitivity of camera movements while walking and spraying. You can also use aim mode to keep the camera still while you move the spray tool, allowing you to paint details with ease. For better visual accessibility, you can customize the amount of camera smoothing, increase reticle size, and set the field of view between 40 and 90 degrees. There are also separate audio channels for ambient sound effects, spraying sound effects, and music, as well as a choice of stereo or mono audio. As always, you can get the full details about the accessibility features available in this and any of our titles by visiting whitethorngames.com and clicking on the accessibility section.
Ich
We
finde es
hope
einfach
you'll
so
enjoy
nice,
playing
ne?
Spray Paint Simulator, available now on Steam, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox One, Xbox Game Pass, and PlayStation 5 and 4. and will be available
Ich
on
find
Nintendo Switch on June 19th.
Diese Showcase, generell das Prinzip der Showcase finde ich schon mal super nice.
We here at Accessibility recognise that the needs of blind gamers are often overlooked by the games industry at large, with relatively few game developers and publishers tackling making their games accessible for partially sighted or sightless blind players. So, every year we make an effort to find new, interesting and creative games to showcase that are aiming to be playable by a wide range of blind gamers, ideally without requiring sighted assistance. This year, as part of our push to showcase more blind accessible games, we paid attention to the Games for Blind Gamers Game Jam, an event in its 4th year trying to encourage creative game design exploration focused on blind player accessibility.
Was, der Last of
That
Us?
said, I'm not blind myself, so I'm going to hand this over to someone who was involved in this year's event, so they can tell you about the games that won and some interesting projects that you might want to keep an eye on.
Hello there, this is Piotr. I was one of the judges for the Games for Blind Gamers 4 Jam. Being a part of this event, both as a judge and also just a gamer participating and trying out all the games, was honestly really amazing. Because the Game Jam itself is not new, we've had a couple before, but I think this year was really unique in terms of quality and the kinds of games we had before. Because what often people gravitate toward when they think of a game accessible to blind gamers is usually really simple concepts, like a simple maze where you're trying to find your way out, or like a Simon type game where you just have to repeat sounds based on by pressing buttons, for example. Well, this year we got a lot of unique games that I think set the bar much higher and showed that blind people can play much more complex games even. And the winner that we picked was one of just many amazing examples. Actually, picking a winner this year was incredibly difficult. And the game that ended up ultimately winning, called Unseen Awakening, was really cool because it kind of subverted the blind protagonist trope, which is also something that was really popular, where some blind person saves the day by swinging a sword around, for example.
Nice.
Well, in this game, you are a blind person saving the world, but you're not the main hero. You're just part of a group of heroes, and actually, you're not the one attacking. You're doing the healing for the party, and also occasionally stunning the enemies or keeping them at bay. And that game was amazing, both in terms of the voice acting, the music, the sound effects, and the idea, which even though was kind of simple, just was, I think, just really interesting. And that's really scratching the surface. We had a very hard time picking our winner.
Perfect enemy to test your abilities. Keep using your spells on me, though. Canetto! Press space to start the battle. My sword has been feeling a little parched. Canetto! Now my blade will blur in the wind. Canetto! Leonardo! My blade will blur in the wind.
Ich finde das voll interessant, ne?
We had some other really amazing games. We had a trading simulator where you're on a boat where you can also do tricks and ride the waves while you're moving from port to port with some complex navigation added in. We had a very fun, cozy game called Barista where you're running a coffee shop and you need to serve customers some different beverages. And the customers are just very entertaining, and the game itself has a very cozy and chill vibe with some amazing voice acting.
Intuitive much? Try making a single shot espresso. Gotcha! You're not holding a cup. Works every time.
One double espresso in a small cup and one long espresso in a medium cup.
Boah, das
And
glaube
then
ich ist richtig hart, ne?
More complex games, like for example Necromancer Nonsense, which is a full-on RTS. And these kinds of games show that blind people can play even much more involved games, assuming that you have, text-to-speech and maybe some additional keyboard shortcuts, so you can, for example, look around a map in an RTS and see what's going on, and some additional audio cues. But even the simpler ideas that we had
is real-time strategy,
in a really
oder?
interesting way. We also had games that were not only accessible to blind gamers, but also people with other disabilities. For example, we had a zombie survival game controlled with just one button that also had amazing audio. We had roguelikes, we had some more traditional maze games as well. But it's really just showed how creative you can get, and some of the games you can have that are both blind accessible, but also really fun. Something else that came out of this jam is an amazing community, both of developers who have taken their knowledge and took it to their future projects, gaming or otherwise, an amazing community of gamers and developers, as well as some really helpful resources that people have come up with on the way. So if you are a developer thinking of making your game blind friendly, it can be done, and there are a lot of us who are very hungry for more games, even if they're more complex ones. We definitely need more very complex games in our community, and I think this Jamboree also showed that it can be done. All of the Jam developers have also come up with some really awesome resources. There is a wiki and a Discord community with some very awesome people on it. And if you would like to try making a blind-friendly game, then please join any future Jams, because there will be more. We are planning more events like this. And even outside of that, if you want to add some blindness accessibility features to your game, please do. There are many people out there who will be willing to test the game for you, provide feedback, and obviously when the game actually comes out, play and enjoy it. And of course, if you want to see how it can be done and also have a lot of fun along the way, please do check out all the entries that were submitted this year. Not just the ones that won, but also really every other game that was out that was submitted, because they were really accessible, really well made, and of course, I think the most important, really fun.
Thank you so much to everyone who brought this year's Games for Blind Gamers Game Jam to my attention. It has been home to so many truly fantastic games that I highly recommend people check out. You can find the Game Jam and try out all of the entries at bit.ly/blindgamers. The RPG about casting healing magic was The Unseen Awakening. The trading simulator set on a lake was called Lacus Opportunitas. The coffee shop game was called Barista. And the real-time strategy game was called Necromancer Nonsense. Please explore the full list of submissions. We only had limited time today to highlight a few favourites, but there are so many great submissions this year worth playing.
Hi everyone, Wobbly Gamer here, accessibility advocate and junior accessibility specialist at Manycat Studios. When Laura came to me and asked me to tell you all why accessibility is important, the first thing that came to mind for me was a story from an event I was at in 2023. I was volunteering on a stand put together by Adapt IT. It was an accessible gaming stand with a number of accessible gaming setups, and we were allowing people to come and experience accessibility firsthand, whether disabled, abled, or a gamer. And we had this young family come to the stand. The young girl herself was 6-7 years old, had quite bad cerebral palsy, was currently in a walker, and she was Paw Patrol mad. All she wanted to do was play Paw Patrol, and she couldn't. So we got her set up on the accessible kit from Xbox, got her set up on that, and she started playing Paw Patrol. Her mum started crying, her dad started crying, because her excitement was just so unreal, which led to me
Deswegen ist es so geil, ne?
and Simon from Adapt IT both crying.
So gut, einfach so gut.
And for me, that really hammered home why accessibility is important, because we don't do it for us, we do it for the enjoyment of others. And for me, you can't recreate that. It was a young girl that was that excited to be playing a game. She couldn't handle her emotions and she burst into tears. And I think for me, that's what it's all about. It's about making a difference.
Hi, I'm Darzington of the two-person indie studio Darzal Games, and I'll be showcasing the accessibility features for the 2 games we've released so far. I have chronic hand pain and limited manual dexterity, and so we design our games to accommodate people with similar issues. As a gamer, I'm limited in what kinds of games I can play, so we're making more games for people like me. What that means is, our games don't have any time pressure. They can be played with a mouse or keyboard or a controller. Players never have to hold down a button or do button combos. Control remapping is supported through Steam, and we make official configurations for one-handed play. In our first game, Quest Giver, you play as an NPC giving out quests to heroes, but your manager is looking for any excuse to fire you, and the local heroes have little patience for a mere NPC. It's sort of a management visual novel. In each scenario, you choose appropriate quests for the heroes in your roster to help them to level up, as well as navigate dialogue choices to try to get one of the good endings. Quest Giver is a text-heavy game, so for ease of reading we've included 2 font options, a retro pixel font or an easier-to-read sans serif curvy font, and also the ability to show dialogue text instantly instead of spooling it out and thus reducing motion. This puts the emphasis on the game's story rather than the mechanics, so you can focus on getting fired or assassinated, destroying the entire world, falling in love, joining a cult, starting a mutiny, getting seduced by a demon, and more.
Was?
Our second game is Six-Sided Stories.
Wie ist das
It's a
Game?
chill puzzle game with relaxing lo-fi beats and cute animals.
Wie ist das Game?
Six-Sided Stories is like a jigsaw puzzle, but instead of placing each piece, you flip and color them correctly. Each
Ich hoffe, die
puzzle
sagen das
leads
nochmal,
into the
weil
next
das
one, following
klang
the
sehr
adventures of a
interessant.
calico cat who meets new friends. As you move
Ich hab
forward in the
vergessen, wie das
story, the
geheißen
puzzles
hat.
get trickier, with more pieces and finer details.
Oh Gott.
In terms of accessibility, in Six-Sided Stories, the relevant features are baked into the game design itself. Since it's like a jigsaw puzzle, you can play at the pace you want and there's no fail state. There's no text at all in the game,
Eigentlich auch cool,
greatly
ne?
increasing
Sowas.
accessibility. Color is an important
So zum
aspect of the game,
Zeitvertreib?
and so the palette and puzzle pieces were made with this in mind to accommodate colorblind players. And finally,
Gott.
there are 2 hint systems. You can view the full puzzle image at any time, like looking at the top of the box, and an incorrect piece will occasionally wiggle to catch your attention. Six-Sided Stories is designed to be accommodating to players who just want to relax and work through some cute puzzles.
Oh Gott, ja.
I mentioned earlier that I have chronic hand pain and limited manual dexterity, and this affects me as a game developer and as a player. So I've learned to do all of my coding by voice using a piece of software called Talon Voice. Here's a quick demonstration. If block, camel should show menu, go down, declaration table. It took me months, if not years, to get good at programming like this, and I haven't really found a way to
Das
make
muss
art
echt schwer
games
sein,
free,
ne?
but I can't let these challenges stop me from making the games of my dreams. Our
Also andererseits,
studio's goal
wie
is to
hieß
make
denn
our
das?
games
Gibt's ja gar
playable
nicht.
by anyone who wants to play them. So we're doing our best to make our games accessible, as well as making sure that they run on low-spec computers. We are just 2 novice developers, so we're always open to feedback about how to make our games more accessible. Please get in touch if you have any suggestions. And if you like the look of Questgiver or Six-Sided
Questgiver,
Stories,
so,
they're both
Questgiver,
available
ja,
on Steam now.
ja,
Thank you.
Questgiver schreibe ich mir auf. Das sah halt wirklich interessant aus, ne?
Soulblaze is a creature-collecting roguelite for PC, Mac and Linux, in which you
Voll
capture
geil.
and train animals to challenge and defeat the boss of each region. Combat evolves around rolling and spending dice to
roguelite?
activate your moves, called tricks. Different effects can make your moves even stronger, such as rolling a double or matching the colors, allowing for building around certain strategies by matching trick effects and dice. Soulblaze features a selection of accessibility settings, which I'm constantly improving and adding to, such as the text-to-speech mode, which features screen reader support for native OS text-to-speech systems and NVDA. During a battle, all relevant information is read out to you.
Wild battle started. You summoned Kalbu, wild enemy, Difdagwa. Available tricks. 2. Press C to hear all controls. Press enter to begin battle. New turn. Rolling dice. Rolled 4, 2, 6 EXP. Difdagwa will use snap. Selected 4.
But if you want to know more, you can always use the inspect button to get details.
Inspect mode on. Snap. Rarity. Decent. Critical chance. 6%. Damage. 2. Cost. 3. Precise. If you pay this skill exact, it gains bonus potency equal to its cost.
By pressing left or right, you can get immediate details over your Anemon or the opponent, including visual descriptions.
Difdagwa, a mix between a frog and a newt. It has a blue body with green spots and a white belly. 2 sets of external gills decorate its cheeks. It has lavender eyes and is looking gentle. Anemones
Looking
grow
gentle.
from its back.
You can play the game with a mouse, keyboard or gamepad, and even touch if you're playing on the Steam Deck. And you can remap all controls in the settings. For players with color vision deficiency, I have made sure to pair all color information with icons. Additionally, you can fully customize colors of UI categories, such as Anemon elements, rarities, or positive and negative effects. Other UI features are enabling the Open Dyslexic font and scaling the UI elements or the text size.
Es passiert ja so viel am Screen, wie bei jedem Roguelite eigentlich.
How many dice the enemy has, how much damage you receive or deal, including invincibility, that you defeat enemies with 1 hit, or that capture rate is always 100%. If Soulblaze has piqued your interest, give the demo a try and wishlist the game. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Hi everyone, Laura here again. This next game is a title that I think is tackling a deeply important topic, but one that's not often covered in video games, and is being approached from a more hopeful perspective than you might expect given its initial pitch. The game touches on difficult themes, in this case, life after childhood sexual abuse. I believe this game has incredible potential and is really worth showcasing, but I wanted to give people a moment of heads up as to not be caught off guard by the topic. I hope you check out the trailer. I do think this game is doing something incredibly special and important.
Okay.
Wednesdays is a hope-filled narrative game about growing up after child sexual abuse. It is meant to be played by everyone, gamer or not. The game alternates between two phases: the park, which is a simplistic theme park management game, and the memories, which play like a visual novel or an interactive comic. Both can be played with a mouse, a keyboard, an Xbox controller, or any combination of those. Wednesday's first launch will always be in windowed mode to allow the use of various accessibility tools. The settings are accessible from the start and at any time during the game. Wednesdays being a narrative game, a lot of care has been put into the accessibility of text. Players can advance in the story manually by clicking or pressing a button, or they can choose to have the text scrolling automatically with 3 different speeds available. The park and the memories use different fonts, but each of them can be replaced by a highly legible alternative font. 5 font sizes
I'm looking for a booty.
From very small
What?
to very big. If you skip a line by mistake or want to refresh your memory, all the previously played dialogues are available in the diary. The text is always highly contrasted, and all the color palettes were chosen with different degrees of colorblindness in mind. No essential information is ever transmitted by color. In the park, the cursor movement speed can be adjusted. The drag and drop can be deactivated, as well as the animations, if they turn out to be annoying or distracting. The music and ambient sound volume, as well as the sound effect volume, can be adjusted independently. The game contains no 3D audio effect, and all important sound effects are dubbed with a visual onomatopoeia. Wednesdays requires no precision, nor speed, nor complex sequence of actions. It contains no flashing lights, no haptic feedbacks, and never requires to hold down a button. The game is available on Steam, but also on itch.io for those who don't want to create an account, nor learn how to use the complicated Steam client.
Ja, sieht interessant aus auf jeden Fall.
This is Heartspell, Horizon Academy,
okay.
The upcoming puzzle-based dating sim with heartwarming stories
Was? Dating
and 11
sim?
lovable characters.
Was?
Accessibility is at the core of Heartspell and guides its writing and design. The branching narrative gives players choices at every turn, with romantic and friendship paths for every character.
You want something from me? Tell me what it is.
The puzzles are challenging, but have no time pressure. And at any time, players can adjust the difficulty or remove the puzzles entirely. To make the story as accessible as possible, Heartspell offers dyslexia-friendly fonts and an option to increase font sizes. All 280,000 words of Heartspell's story are voiced by our cast of talented actors.
Calm down! I know what a date is. I'm probably awesome at dates. How hard can it be?
Oh, babe, there are plenty of fish in the sea, and no reason not to date all of them.
Heartspell also has more specific options like arachnophobia, and the team is always taking community suggestions for ways to make the game even more inviting.
Wow, you're amazing! Tasty! Yes. Yeah.
Heartspell has a free demo with over 90 minutes of content to introduce its wondrous world and memorable characters.
Ihr seht es nicht, dass ich das aufschreibe, ne? Ihr seht's nicht. Ich
Here is Gales of Nayeli,
hab's nicht.
a narrative-driven strategy RPG from Blind Coco Studios. As a colorblind developer, we believe
vor allem Demos, ne? Demos habe ich immer dabei. Vor allem, apropos Demos, ne? Bald schaue ich als nächstes Steam Next Fest schon wieder. Natürlich, direkt im Anschluss an Summer Game Fest, das ist ja auch smart gemacht, ne? Oh Gott, das wird auch wieder...
For instance, there are options to receive more strategic advice
Da werde ich wieder
from
reingehen, in die Demos.
Or to make faction indicators more visible to differentiate
Wie
your
gesagt,
friends
leider
from enemies
nächste
in the
Woche
heat of battle.
sehr wenig Zeit. Aber danach, nächste Woche ist meine letzte Woche im Zivildienst, danach bin ich durch, deswegen, danach, ja, kann ich da auf jeden Fall in Demos reingehen.
Finally, if you're here to enjoy the story with a more relaxed play experience in mind, you can turn on Ideal Growth Mode, which will ensure your units always grow to their maximum potential. Gales of Nayeli is made by strategy RPG fans, and we want as many people as possible to enjoy it. If you liked what you saw, feel free to try out the demo available on Steam and wishlist the game so you don't miss the game's launch this summer.
Hi there, my name is
Aurelia, cool,
and I'm a disabled and chronically ill content creator and accessibility advocate from Norway. And I'm also Laura's co-host on the podcast Controller All Access. I'm born with a brain injury called cerebral palsy, and I also have arthritis. And due to that, I play games with my feet. Yes, you did hear right. I have a dual setup where I use both my hands and my feet to play games. And it makes it so that I can play a game without any pain. I have a burning passion for game accessibility, and when I saw a game that has added accessibility and are from my own home country was going to be on this show, I knew I needed to present them. So all the way from the land of Fjord and Fjell, I give you Sunlight.
Da hinten Spyro, Toad, Melina, was? Cool.
We're Krillbite Studio,
oh Gott.
And we wanted to give you guys an update on our game, Sunlight. In addition to the existing subtitles, we've added audio description to the game, making it accessible for more people, so they can enjoy this philosophical hike through a beautiful forest. Here's how it plays out.
Audio, controls, accessibility, subtitles, off, on, text size large. I'm ready.
The sunbeam shines brighter on the leaf. The leaf stem starts growing. New leaves and branches spring from it as it grows into a tall, lively tree in a lush forest.
Welcome. Are you sitting comfortably? Are you focused? And not thinking about whatever's bothering you these days?
Naja, weiß er nicht.
I'm not here to test you. Please, relax.
Walk in the forest and listen for the sounds of flowers. Keyboard controls. Move forward with W, left with A, right with D, and backwards with S. Pick up and lay down flowers with space.
Sunlight is a calm experience with
ich glaube sehr calm.
No rush, and no pressure to complete it. No matter where you go, you'll end up in the right place.
Follow this sound to find flowers. You are now standing by a flower. Press space to pick it up. You've picked up one flower.
Was?
Until it turned. A wave of gentle needles moving over my skin.
You are now standing by a flower. Press space to pick it up. You've picked up another flower.
Das müsste man halt wirklich mal mit Augenbinde spielen, wenn man die komplette Experience mitnimmt.
At the outskirts of the forest, there are endless fields of cut tree trunks.
Sunlight's update is out now to experience. Thank you for your attention.
Auch gut, ne? Auch gut.
You might have heard about Survival Climber Karen.
Oh Gott.
The game was going to be intense and challenging.
Ja, habe ich safe schon auf der Wishlist, aber ich schreibe mal auf, das kenne ich ja.
To make sure people with different skill levels and abilities can enjoy the game. Here's what we've been working on. Karen is a climbing and alpinism game where you choose your own path and your own difficulty as you overcome a mountain. You need to balance your stamina and your position on the rock face to climb higher. There are no predetermined routes up the mountain, meaning you can choose the one that is right for you. Just be sure to take care of yourself with food and water so the mountain doesn't claim another victim. We think our newest accessibility option is going to be especially impactful, the rewind. This mechanic allows you to undo any action in the game. You can even see your stamina usage on the rewind bar. After a fall, hit the rewind button and you can go right back to where you want to be.
Das
and
ist
then
cool.
You can keep climbing. Not only can you use rewind to take back a mistake, you can also use it to explore and experiment to make your climbing journey in Cairn yours.
Cool.
Cairn also features fully rewindable controls, so you can make your climb feel just right.
Das, glaube ich, wird sehr, sehr komplex und interessant auf jeden Fall.
And many of the difficulty and accessibility settings can be customized in the options. You can enable limb highlighting, or you can even disable quick reaction minigames like the Piton drill. Pulse feedback is also available, so you always know when you have a good grip. And of course, we have 3 difficulty options, so you can pick the challenge that's right for you. You can play the demo right now on Steam and PlayStation 5.
Demos. Es werden einige Demos
Airships Lost
gespielt.
Flotilla is a steampunk bullet hell
Ich
game
merke schon.
where you
Aber
fight
Cairn,
through
ja.
waves of enemies like
Das habe ich schon mal
Ghosts,
gesehen. Das,
cultists and dragons.
glaube ich, ist sehr schwierig,
I
aber
think
sehr cool auf
we
jeden
can
Fall.
make the game as
Sehr interessant.
accessible as possible in a variety of ways. The game is equally playable with keyboard, mouse and controller. With the keyboard, you can switch between tank controls and directional controls from most ships, and of course, the controls are remappable. If you prefer to play with the mouse, activate Ship Follows Cursor. Finally, you can use either stick or the D-pad on your controller to control the ship.
Erinnert mich ein bisschen an...
It's of course fun when there's lots of particles and explosions and so on, but
Wie
it
hieß
can
denn
also
das?
be overwhelming
Nicht
for
Agario,
making
sondern das andere
information hard to
IO-Spiel.
see. So there's detailed
Wie hieß denn das
visual
nochmal?
settings.
Weiß gar
You
nicht
can
mehr.
toggle particles, animations, explosion flashes, damage numbers and screen shake. You can adjust the visibility of the background to be muted or pure dark grey.
Wie hieß denn das nochmal? Ich weiß nicht mehr.
Highlighting mode, which turns enemies and enemy shots bright red and pickups either blue or green while muting all other colors. Finally, there are 2 gameplay options worth mentioning. You can turn off permadeath and you can freely adjust the game's speed. I hope that with these options, you can customize the game for your maximum enjoyment. Check out the game on Steam, and if you have any suggestions for my accessibility controls, let me know.
Hi everyone, my name is Danny Brennan, also known as Dannyline online. My pronouns are they them, and I'm a white person lying in bed, wearing a purple top, hat and glasses, surrounded by penguins. Being chronically
Surrounded by
ill isn't fun,
penguins.
but when I'm well enough, gaming is the best distraction from symptoms such as pain, and it gives me something to talk about with others, making me less isolated despite living mostly in bed. My hands don't always work all that well, so being able to use different control schemes is really important. On bad hand days, the only way I can play games is with a touchscreen, which is why I'm thrilled to be able to introduce this next game, which amongst other accessibility options supports touch input, as well as keyboard, mouse and controllers.
Ich finde das so gut, ne? Wir kommen da oftmals fast die Tränen, wenn ich sowas höre. Oh. Deswegen, Videospiele sind so wichtig, ne? Oh Gott. Aber ganz ehrlich, super interessant. Super interessant,
These
ne?
obstacles are distinguished by their contrasting colors and unique shapes. If your vehicle falls off the track, a countdown will alert you to an automatic restart. As you complete each challenge, you'll be rewarded with new vehicles as well as the opportunity to compete at a harder difficulty. More vehicles means more mayhem. However, there are always opportunities to pause and plan your next move. The game's fixed viewpoint maximizes comfort for all players, and the flipbook interface helps to maintain visual continuity.
Voll nicer Spiel.
Convenient audio-visual cues ensure that literacy
Schau ich
is
mir auch mal
not
auf dann,
a
ne?
requirement to play, although
Super.
you'll find support for over a dozen languages.
Mhm.
Players can rebind keyboard commands to their satisfaction, or choose to operate a gamepad with a single hand. Color configuration is also available for players to set their own palette.
Das ist, glaube ich, sehr anspruchsvoll, vor allem mit mehreren Fahrzeugen.
Frolic and Roll is still under development, but please try out the demo on Steam and tell
Rollick
your
and
friends.
Roll, okay. Ja, das will ich austesten auf jeden
Trash
Fall.
Goblin, you play as a cute little goblin running a cute little shop. You dig the dirt off trinkets, clean them up, and then sell them to customers. Maybe you upcycle them, maybe you make a tidy profit, maybe you invest that gold into your shop, customizing it, expanding it, and trying out new and better tools. And we, the goblins developing it, have been trying out new and better ways to ensure that as many of you as possible can enjoy it. For example, during cleaning play, we've added a dirt highlighter, which helps you find that last little bit of grime, and we chose to colour it blue to accommodate as much of the range of colour vision deficiency as possible. Plus, now we highlight a trinket's edge when the sponge is hovering over it, for extra confidence. The player can navigate their shop with the arrow keys, whilst controlling camera movement speed, and being able to toggle the camera edge movement on or off. You can now also rotate trinkets with the WASD keys, whilst choosing the object rotation speed that suits you best. We added a quest tracker to ensure you always know what to do to meet your customers' needs, even after a break from the game. It allows you to find what you need with a simple click of an icon. Plus, it enables you to recall important customers, so you can take your time. And there's the Trinkepedia, handily tracking every trinket you've found, cleaned, upcycled, and sold. Of course, that's on top of everything we showed in last year's accessibility video. There are intentionally no fail states, time pressures, or skill gates. In response to player feedback, we allow players to choose several control modes for cleaning and chipping. All core interactions are achievable with just the mouse, whilst the keyboard can be used for navigation as well. We chose a sans serif font, and we allow you to control the size and speed it displays at. In fact, we recently got nominated for our work on this, which is, of course, very rewarding, but we're excited to work with our community to learn and to implement even more accessibility features into the game. Trash Goblin is out now on Steam.
This fast-paced first-person retro shooter is Blow Up, Avenge Humanity, a game developed by Half-Sunk Games. The team at Half-Sunk Games provides a series of accessibility features so that everyone may be able to play and enjoy the game. See these enemies? No?
Violently.
Will increase the outline thickness and even change its color. Now you won't miss them. Is it not enough? Turn on the desaturated background and highlight important options to help you see even clearer. This is an extremely frantic game, packed with lots of action and fast movements, which is why it also has accessibility options for UI and screen effects. Try reducing the opacity of the HUD, or changing the crosshair, deactivate some more effects and customize the screen to your liking. Last but not least, it's also possible for players to regulate the amount of screen shake they will experience, as well as reducing or increasing their field of view. This way, people prone to dizziness in first-person games can have an easier time playing, although we're still working on finding new ways to make the game accessible to all players. If you liked it, please consider wishlisting the game on Steam.
Blow Up.
Join our Discord server and stay tuned to the Half-Sunk Games and Blow Up socials so you don't miss a single thing about Blow Up, Avenge Humanity.
I'm Zlander Street. I'm a white non-binary person in their mid-30s with a bright green mullet, and I'm wearing a blue hoodie that says Assigned Earth at Birth on it with Intropology.com in tiny letters. My project is called Intropology. It's a narrative-driven queer indie game that's performed live by real actors online.
Nice.
I'm showing you some footage now of different moments in the live performance with actors in webcam views on the left-hand side and an interaction panel on the right, which has things like voting options and text entry boxes. Here, the view of the actors is overlaid with a live coding environment with bits of text code and swirling neon shapes that are being procedurally generated. The show is all about alien anthropologists in a multiverse that faces a cataclysmic breakdown in the nature of reality. Our next performance is on the 15th of June, and you can register to see it at Intropology.com/tickets. The audience collectively shapes the story through a web app that looks like the main character's janky computer desktop. For example, in this footage, there's a purple taskbar at the top of the screen, and it looks like the actor's webcam view is in a video call program. The UI is all really simple, as if you're using a minimalist version of Linux that you might see on a Raspberry Pi. Our interaction mechanics are a bit like other narrative-driven indie video games. The audience votes for what the main character will say and do. And sometimes they get to write things in that they will say in a stream of consciousness rant. Combining games and theatre in this way allows us to bring interactive theatre to people who experience barriers to in-person venues due to disability, chronic illness, or regional inequality. All of our shows have integrated captions, BSL interpretation, and keyboard-compatible interaction.
How do I look? Oh god, my skin looks so pale in this black wig.
Some audio description is integrated into the script, and we're working on expanding our audio description to include everything that's on screen in a way that reflects the different worlds that our characters inhabit.
The interface you have accessed resembles a dressing table made of holly, inlaid with decorative veneers of ebony, purple heart, and sycamore.
We've designed the experience to be compatible with many of the access accommodations people use for browsing the internet, such as screen readers. But this isn't fully tested, and audio from the screen reader might clash with audio from the performance sometimes. There is also a potential photosensitivity risk in some aspects of our show. Anthropology aims to tell stories about how worlds become smaller and more fragmented, how we can reconnect, and how we can build better worlds together. If that sounds exciting to you, please register for our next performance on the 15th of June. You can register at anthropology.com/tickets.
Hello everyone, I am Sightless Combat and I'm very pleased to be back for another edition of the Accessibility Summer Showcase. Thank you so much to the organisers for having me on board for this. It's always great to be able to talk about cool, new, fun and interesting and of course, most importantly, accessible games. Now, for those that don't know me, I'm an award-winning multi-credited accessibility consultant and having never had any sight whatsoever from the UK, and also accessible gaming officer for RNIB, that is Royal National Institute of Blind People, the UK-based sight loss charity. By way of a description, I'm a white man with light facial hair wearing a cap with my logo on it, a pair of crossed swords intersecting an eye, and in my background is a large amount of gaming memorabilia that I've accumulated over the years as part of what my community has called the Wall of Stuff. Now, as to the game I'm going to introduce to you today, if you're not familiar with it, it's actually one that I've played before in a demo form, and it's from a genre that is kind of accessible by accident or by trial and error, depending on who you ask, and that is rhythm games. Yes, I get to talk about an accessible rhythm game, and I played the demo, I think it was last year, and was very, very pleased and impressed. And I've been keeping an eye on it ever since, and the developers have continued to make updates even to the demo build, and added audio description and a bunch of other interesting, cool accessibility settings like remappable controls, which is great to see. But I'm not going to try and spoil anything other than saying that if you're a fan of Rhythm Heaven and minigames and interesting challenges, then I think this game will probably be for you. But without further ado, I haven't even told you the name of the game yet, so I'm going to introduce to you, from the wonderful folks at Tempo Lab Games, this is Bits and Bops.
Nice.
Bits and Bops is a collection of original rhythm minigames. Filled with catchy music, snappy gameplay, and gorgeous hand-drawn animation, Bits and Bops is sure to brighten your day. Bits and Bops is designed to be completely playable without sighted assistance. The game supports text-to-speech narration, with additional narration available to describe visual elements, helping to provide context to each minigame.
Scene: a sparkling blue ocean under a pale blue sky. In the bottom left corner of the frame, an orange cat wearing red shorts and holding a camera stands on the deck of a small boat. The boat bobs gently up and down in the water. Ah, the open ocean. This seal loves to bop the beach ball. Tap space to snap a photo. Next, bubbles appear in the water, then a purple seal emerges with a splash. A multicolored beach ball descends from the top of the frame.
Okay. Oh, geil. Rhythm Games sind schon nice, muss ich sagen.
What a show off. When you hear the bell, get ready to snap 3 photos in a row. Watch the ball for the timing. Next, a ship's bell sounds and the cat whips his head left and right. The seal emerges from the water and bounces the ball twice, then bops it back into the air on the 3rd hit.
Ey, okay. Alter, Rhythm Games sind schon geil, muss ich sagen.
Great. Now get out there and snap some photos.
Bits and Bops features more than 20 rhythm minigames, each with simple controls.
Wo ist meine Maus?
The game's catchy, upbeat original tunes are sure to have you bopping along, while beautiful hand-drawn 2D art helps bring everything to life.
An instruction manual sits slightly askew on a wooden table. The camera zooms in to make the top 2 boxes fill the frame. The blocks move smoothly from box 1 to box 2.
Geil. Habe ich mir auch mal aufgeschrieben. Und somit habe ich schon 7 Games aufgeschrieben, bei der ersten Showcase schon. Oh Gott, das wird noch...
The blind lifts to reveal a blue wren on the windowsill where the radio previously sat. The birds talk about their home lives. The wren raises a family and the canary eats chips.
Couch Potato, oder was? Der Vogel.
And, with their custom game engine, you can rely on lightning-fast response times as you bop along to the beat. Bits and Bops. Releasing soon.
Ja, habe ich mal aufgeschrieben.
Hello everyone, Laura K. Buzz here, quickly popping in one last time. This year's Accessibility Summer Showcase is nearly over, with just one trailer left before we draw to a close. I want to very quickly thank everyone whose work allowed this year's Accessibility Summer Showcase to take place. A huge thank you to my wife and editor, Jane, who works incredibly hard to make sure this event every year is as polished as possible. A huge thanks to Brad Galloway, whose work on providing American Sign Language for this showcase every summer has been invaluable. A huge thank you to Sightless Combat, who has narrated the audio-described version of the Summer Showcase for the past 2 years. Thank you so much to every disabled gamer who took time to share their stories in this year's showcase, and every game developer who trusted me to showcase their games this year. And a massive thank you to Many Cat Studios, whose support sponsoring the show this year was instrumental in helping to ensure that our British Sign Language interpreted version of the showcase could go ahead with minimal stress. Currently, the plan is for us to return in December with the first Accessibility Winter Showcase. We had plans to launch the Winter Showcase in 2024, but due to some unexpected hurdles had to push back the event's debut. If you want to see more accessible game trailers,
ich werde das safe bis dahin wieder vergessen.
Thursday, December 11th, 2025 at 4 p.m. UK, 11 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. Pacific.
Wieder um 17 Uhr, theoretisch.
This first Winter Showcase
Ich denke, ich werde es wieder vergessen, weil ich merke mir sowas nie. Deswegen finde ich es gut, dass beim Summer Game Fest das dabei ist, weil da hat man halt alles an einem Ort dann. Oder innerhalb von 3 Tagen sehr viele Showcases. Ja, voll geil.
I hope you enjoy our last trailer and have a wonderful rest of your day.
This is Coming Home, a retro-slasher horror game with a focus on home defense. In the dead of night, you hear someone lurking outside, but you are not defenseless. Watch the cameras, barricade your doors, and have your gun at the ready. Our game is inspired by retro-slasher classics, but our approach to accessibility is emphatically modern. The game supports directional closed captions. Not only are all sound effects accompanied by closed captioning, but the game can position captions where the sound came from. High contrast mode can render the Sundown Rippers and any interactable elements with brighter, more distinct colors to help distinguish them from the environment. Collectible documents have clean text transcripts to help with readability, as well as visual descriptions. The game also features screen reader support for these transcripts, as well as all UI elements. While the default control scheme uses a keyboard and mouse, you can play the game with only one or the other. Controller support is also implemented. Any mechanics requiring holding an input can be changed to a toggle. Coming Home is presented as an authentic 80s slasher film. The CRT and VHS effects can be toned down or even disabled to enhance readability. Coming Home categorizes all sound effects and allows you to tweak their volumes by category. You can increase the volume of conspicuous sounds revealing the Ripper's positions, but decrease the volume of sound effects that can trigger misophonia. A persistent crosshair can be enabled to help with motion sickness, as well as an aim cone to visualize the range of the revolver. We're dead set on making sure anyone can play Coming Home, no matter what their preferences are. The Sundown Rippers don't discriminate, and they aren't picky. When it's sundown, no one is safe.
Sieht sehr interessant aus, ne? Oh, Junge. Was ist er für einer? Was ist denn? Coming Home.
Coming Home now on Steam.
Ja. Ich habe ein paar Games zum Wishlisten. Jetzt schon. Ich glaube, das war's. Ich glaube, das war Cool Showcase. Ja. Sehr cool. Sehr, sehr coole Showcase. Das war's. Echt nice. Echt nice. Ich hab's vor 2 Jahren zum ersten Mal gesehen. Letztes Jahr habe ich's, glaube ich, auch gestreamt auf YouTube. Ich weiß gar nicht. Aber super. Auch dieses Jahr wieder richtig nice. Das war die Accessibility Summer Showcase 2025. Damit startet für mich zumindest, also inoffiziell, das Summer Game Fest des heutigen Tages. Am heutigen Tag des diesjährigen Jahres. Ich kann jetzt schon nicht reden. Nee, auf jeden Fall super. Ich finde das so nice, auch so bewegend, diese Geschichten von beeinträchtigten Leuten zu hören, die so sagen, ja, Videospiele sind sehr wichtig in ihrem Leben und sie sind so froh, dass sie trotz ihrer Beeinträchtigungen Videospiele spielen können, und ich finde das einfach so nice. Und da waren auch einige coole Games dabei, die ich mir auch aufgeschrieben habe, ne? Super. Ja, und da natürlich auch positive Chat-Nachrichten hier, sehr nice. Sehr, sehr nice. Und ja, auf YouTube sage ich jetzt schon mal vielen Dank fürs Zusehen. Das war die erste Reaction zum diesjährigen Summer Game Fest. Ich freue mich auf weitere Showcases. Ich bin ja bei 4 weiteren live dabei. Heute noch. Wie gesagt, morgen und Sonntag leider nicht live dabei, aber das werde ich mir auch alles anschauen. Aber ja, auf jeden Fall auf YouTube jetzt mal. Vielen Dank fürs Zusehen. Das war die Accessibility Summer Showcase 2025. Und wir sehen uns dann bei der nächsten Showcase des Steam Next, Steam Next sage ich schon. Ich komme schon durcheinander. Des Summer Game Fest wieder. Ciao!
Wenn euch das Video gefallen hat, würde ich mich über einen Daumen nach oben freuen. Hier könnt ihr ein Abo dalassen. Wäre auch sehr nice. Hier seht ihr die gesamte Playlist von diesem Let's Play oder was auch immer. Und hier, ja, hier drunter seht ihr das automatisch ausgewählte Video von YouTube. Das ist ein super Outro. Geil!